Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Can I just have a reminder for guests to please sign in on your left by the windows on the table? There's a sign-in sheet. Tonight, we are going to stand for a moment of silence after the pledge for 3 former employees who passed away in the recent weeks. One is for Mrs. Patricia Huffnagel, Mr. Michael Brooks, and Ms. Darlene Scanna. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to go through the first of the 3 resolutions for our former employees. The first one would be number 1B is the resolution for Mrs. Patricia Huffnagel. Whereas Patricia A. Huffnagel served as a staff member of the Tri-Valley Central School District for 28 years, and whereas Patricia A. Huffnagel exemplified extraordinary commitment to the students of the Tri-Valley Central School District, and whereas Patricia A. Huffnagel passed away on March 29th, 2025, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its thanks to Patricia A. Huffnagel for her service, and be it further resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its sympathy to the family of Patricia A. Huffnagel during this time of mourning. Moving to item 1C is the resolution for Mr. Michael Brooks. Whereas Michael Brooks served as a Board of Education member of the Tri-Valley Central School District for 12 years, and 4 years of that was as board president. And whereas Mr. Michael Brooks exemplified extraordinary commitment to the students of the Tri-Valley Central School District, and whereas Mr. Michael Brooks passed away on March 30th, 2025, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its thanks to Mr. Michael Brooks for his service, and be it further resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its sympathy to the family of Michael Brooks during this time of mourning. And then moving to item number 1D is the resolution for Darlene Scanna. Whereas Darlene Scanna served as a staff member of the Tri-Valley Central School District for 22 years, and whereas Darlene Scanna exemplified extraordinary commitment to the students of the Tri-Valley Central School District, and whereas Darlene Scanna passed away on March 25th, 2025, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its thanks to Darlene Scanna for her service, and be it further resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its sympathy to the family of Darlene Scanna during this time of mourning. Thank you. Moving to item number 2 is correspondence. I'm not aware of anything. Do you have any? Okay, we'll move to item number 3 is public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. I don't have anyone signed up. Moving to item number 4 is presentations and guests. We have 4 items tonight. We'll start with 4A is the athletics presentation.
Good evening, everybody. So we have a lot to celebrate from the winter season. We have a lot to be proud of, and a lot to be excited for in terms of the future for a lot of these teams and a lot of these athletes. So tonight we're going to be recognizing section champions, state champions, participants, and some national invites as well. So Our first one is Santino Hafner. So Coach Carey is somewhere where it's really warm, but she did write a nice thing, so I'm going to read that. So today I have the honor of speaking about an athlete who has truly exemplified what it means to be dedicated, resilient, and passionate. His season has been one of growth, challenges, and remarkable achievements, and it's been inspiring to watch Santino's journey unfold. It has been remarkable to watch Santino grow and compete as a skier during just his 8th grade year. When I asked him what his goal was at the beginning of the year, he told me he wanted to compete in the state championships. While this was a very big goal, it was amazing to watch him work towards completing this. He needed to complete races during sectionals and state qualifiers that were very challenging for him to achieve with his prior races. It was wonderful to watch him compete and succeed and achieve his goal that he set in the beginning of the year. What truly sets Santino apart is not just his skill on the slopes, but his unwavering mental toughness. Even when conditions weren't ideal or things didn't go according to plan, Santino remained determined and adaptable. Each obstacle became an opportunity to grow, and each race, regardless of the outcome, was a chance to learn and improve. At the sectional race, Santino finished in 11th in slalom and 7th in giant slalom. At the state qualifier race, he finished in 8th. And then finally, at his big goal of the state championship race, he finished 46th in giant slalom and 47th in slalom. I'm excited for Santino's ski future here at Tri-Valley. I was on the phone with Coach Carey while she bragged about it being really warm and sunny and lovely. And one of the things that I really picked up on during her conversation was how well Santino represented Tri-Valley. So his interactions with other schools, with teammates, with the public on these different ski hills, that was just part of my conversation that really stood out. You know, the results are great. His races, were fantastic, but he, according to Coach Carey, really resembled that being a good human being that we love to try to produce here at Tri-Valley. So Santino's on the right there, and in the middle on the other picture. Great congratulations to Santino. I too am excited to see where he can finish, hopefully in the state meet again next year. Yeah. So up next we have Coach Eckhoff to talk about our boys indoor team.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm talking about our indoor track and field season here, and I see the picture up. We're going to talk about the boys first. The boys won the Class B section title. This is a outstanding mark. It's only been done 3 times in school history for Tri-Valley, and I'm going to mention some individual medalists and section champions here. But to note, in indoor track, it is the hardest section championship to acquire because there's only a Class A and a Class B. In other sports, there might be a double A, there might be A, B, C, D, like in cross country. And so to acquire a section championship, you have to beat some schools that are significantly bigger than us, like New Paltz and Port Jervis. And so we just narrowly won, and it was a team effort and went down to every last point. So it's an outstanding victory for us. And I'm going to acknowledge, I see some of our individual medalists back here from our boys section championship. We have our 4x8 relay of Nick Bender, Aaron Edwards, John Woods Jr., and Wyatt Morden. So stand up if we have anyone in the crowd here. I think Aaron. We also had who, when I say medaled, they got top 3 at the section championships. We have Logan Wyatt in the pole vault. And then the other 2 gentlemen here, they were section champions. And so Kane Poggi, he's actually at Hammer Club, New York Hammer Club practice right now. He would love to be here. But Kane Poggi, he finished first and was a section champion in the weight throw and also the shot put. And so he scored big points for us there. guess it's not here, but we clap, I guess. And then Van Furman, you get 3 events you can run, jump or throw. And Van Furman had 3, and he finished first place and was section champion in all 3, and really was the backbone of the team here. Again, this team title. And so he scored a perfect 30 points. Van Furman, section champion in 1,000, 1,600, and 3,200 meter. So I guess I just click this, right? Yep. And so I want to acknowledge our girls. Our girls finished 4th in the section, but we had some outstanding individuals that medaled as well. Sophia Richardson is away on the FBLA trip right now, but she medaled in the 300, an event that she will go on to compete at the state championships shortly after that. And then also we have Anna Furman here, who medaled in 3 events, the 1,000, the 1,500, and the 3,000. So Mr. Crudelli wanted me to highlight how they did at the state championship. And so we had 6 athletes advance to the state championships for indoor track, which for indoor track, it's a hard state championships to get to because, again, in cross country, there's 4 state champion teams because there's a B, C, D. In indoor track, you want to get to the state championship, you got to beat everyone. You got to beat Monroe Woodbury, you got to beat big schools. And so we had 6 individuals that advanced to the state championships. I see them in the crowd here, so I'm going to call them out. We have Anna Furman, Sophia Richardson, Van Furman, Kane Poggi, who's not here, Emma Richardson, Sophia Richardson, and Lily Schoonmaker, who's a 7th grader. So if they're here, just stand up. We'll give them a round of applause. And I want to just kind of tell you about how they did at the state championships. So first off, at our state championships for our boys, Kane Poggi, who's not here, he finished, actually, before I do that, I want to acknowledge all of these athletes earned all state, meaning they finished in the top 6 at the state championships. All of them came home with a medal from the state championships. And so that's quite the accomplishments for them. And our individuals, Kane Poggi in the throws, he finished 4th in the weight throw in New York State. He also finished 9th in the shot put, and in doing so, he set a new school record in the shot put. Outstanding. And his weight throw mark that he set there at the New York State Championships ranks at the end of the season number 2 for all sophomores in the USA. And so Kane Poggi had a phenomenal season there at his state championship meet. Now, for our other individuals, Sophia Richardson competed in the 300 meter, and she placed 24th. Anna Furman set a new personal best in the 3,000, and she finished 11th with a time that puts her 48th in the USA. And she finished 18th in the 1,500 because Anna advanced in 3 events. The other people, they competed in our girls 4x8 relay. So that's Emma Richardson, Anna Furman, Lily Schoonmaker, and Sophia Richardson. And our girls 4x8 relay finished 4th overall. They also set a new school record, and they broke the old school record by over 15 seconds. And so it's quite the accomplishment for them. And then I want to acknowledge we have a state champion amongst us, and it is the first state champion for the boys in indoor track ever. And so Van Furman, I want him just to stand up here and give him a round of applause. And so Van Furman competed in 2 events. He placed 6th in the 3,200 meter and earned all state honors in that. But he also was on the intersectional relay, and he closed the relay running the mile with the fastest mile split of any person in the relay. And he brought home a gold medal and Tri-Valley's first ever boys indoor state championship. So then on the right side here, we have our athletes that advanced to the national championships. And so the people who advanced to national championships, we have Van Furman, Anna Furman, Kane Poggi, Lily Schoonmaker, Matt Ortiz Jimenez. And so for these athletes that advanced, Matt Ortiz Jimenez ran in the freshman 60 meters. And so he set a new Tri-Valley school record in the 60 meters. Pretty good for a freshman. Lily Schoonmaker competed in the middle school 800 meter dash. We had Kane Poggi went for the throws, for the weight throw. He finished 15th in the nation in the weight throw. And so if you finish in the top 6, you're a All-American. He was 15th, and he's a sophomore. If you take out the 9 seniors ahead of him, that puts him in a good spot for next year. And so maybe we can get an All-American here soon in the future. And then Anna Furman ran the 2-mile and set a new Tri-Valley School record in the 2-mile. The previous holder of it was Heather Ayatoro, who is known for her running accolades here. And Van Furman competed in the 2-mile as well at the New Balance National Championships. I think I mentioned them all. I'm probably going on, and my wife is probably telling me get off the stage. So can we just give them another round of applause? It was really a historic season for track and field.
Okay, and up next we have Coach Kloss to talk about the girls basketball Class B section champions.
So this year we had an exceptional year with girls varsity basketball. On behalf of the team, I'd like to give some thank yous to everyone that supported us this season. I'd like to thank Mr. Cordelli for doing a great job with our schedule and for facilitating all the postseason games. It's a nice place to be when all you have to think about is coaching your team. So thank you. Thank you to Skylar Musa and Tim Diamond for all the help they gave throughout the year, helping coaching the girls. I'd like to thank Cast for a wonderful job they do for not only our basketball team, but everyone in our school community. John Rusin for doing the book, Kenny Turbush for scoreboard, and Tiffany Stapleton, our AT, for keeping our girls together. And last but not least, I'd like to thank administration, our community, for an amazing send-off for the girls on our final game. This year's team was a scrappy group that dealt with their share of adversity. There were many games due to injuries and other factors when we only had 7 girls suited to play. And this team never complained. They never said, hey, this person's absent. They just showed up and played to win. Very proud of the season we had with these girls that we put together. We were first team to win a Class B Section 9 title in girls basketball. We ended our season 16-5. We were a scholar athlete team. And most importantly, we represented Tri-Valley well. These girls brought energy and defensive intensity every game. They were fun to coach, and I'm sure they were fun to watch. I can remember a couple pivotal points in our season. One was when we were sitting at O'Neill. We were 1-2. We just got beat pretty good by a team that we should have been very competitive with. We sat down and we had a discussion. And some of that discussion was just some minutes of silence, kind of gather what just happened to us. And at that point, when you have a team, they have a decision. Are they going to pick themselves up and, play like they should be playing? Or are we going to kind of sit in it and not use it to get better? And these girls here and, decided to do the first. And we put on a run for the next 12, 13 games. We took it from being 1-2, 1-3 at the end of that tournament and ended up 16-5. And that's to the character and the drive of these girls. In 20-some years, I've only had one other team like it, where they had that moment. And as coaches know, there's a fine line between winning and losing. And these girls recognized that, and they took advantage of that. So, and that's what makes this, when we beat O'Neill at home quite handedly, and then when we got an injury in that game and in the section finals, to then beat them for the sectional final was very rewarding. Every time that we had an opportunity to play a team that we lost to the first time, we defeated them the second time. And with O'Neill, we defeated them just the last 2 times. again, this team was extremely fun to coach. And I just wanted to thank everybody for their support. Okay, so Jenna Carmody, Jordan Diamond, they're both on the FBLA trip. And the other girls couldn't be with us tonight. We have Britton Poley, Caitlin Stungus, and Avery Carrier. Okay, Jenna. So Jenna has been with us for 5 years in the program, 4 years with me. So an exceptional girl, exceptional product, you know, that as an athlete, as a young woman, and 1,015 points total. So, and the thing with Jenna, I wish she was here. The thing with Jenna is she never played like she was going towards 1,000. If anybody watched, she just kept playing the way she had played for 5 years. And truthfully, if she wanted 1,000, she could have had it a long time ago. But she did it the right way. She did it within the game. She did it with the respect of her teammates. And truthfully, like lots of times we had to tell her to shoot the ball, which is very rare with a 1,000-point score. She recently she was recognized as the Class B Canny All-Star, right? It says top 50 players in the area. And she then voted on by coaches. She was the Class B Player of the Year. Okay, so that's on an individual level. As a team, blessed to have you girls for the season. You know, it's one of those things. Last year was the same thing. When it's over, you're like, oh, you know, you just need a long weekend and get back after it. This group was the same way. So I'm proud of you ladies. Thank you, coaches. Thank you, everybody that helped support us for the year. And yeah, thank you.
Just wanted to say congratulations to everybody, and you know, we look forward to what a lot of these teams bring in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, moving to item number 4B is the administrative presentations.
All right, good evening, everyone. So can we just get one more round of applause for the exceptionality that Tri-Valley just demonstrated here in front of us? Yeah, so much hard work, both in the classroom and outside. It's just great to see we're able to bring these things week in and week out of just something new and exciting. So I'm not going to talk about anything that's quite as exciting, but so we're kind of getting to that end of the year. It doesn't feel like it, but we're getting to our point where we're talking about our last diagnostic testing with iReady. Going to be in May, elementary school. Right now we're finishing up schedules for the elementary and secondary school. We're way ahead where we would like to be. So we're actually to the point where we might in the secondary start getting the counselors to finish up with the students selecting what kind of electives they want and then running our schedule through. And so we can make our adjustments now in May instead of in August. So we're very excited about that. The elementary school is going to be doing a few new things, which we think are going to increase the effectiveness of some of our programming. Our professional development committee is now looking at all of the teaching standards New York State has put out and making recommendations our next couple meetings on what we can do next year to help support our teachers. So just a kind of a little snapshot of what we're doing in my world in the next couple weeks or so. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So it's the time of year that I usually show the numbers that we have. Last year, the projection that I have up there on the screen for the 23-24 school year was around January, and these are the numbers for 24-25 school year as of 4/2. So a little increase in, not very much, but we have had quite a few students move into the district since January till April. So it's really just where we are, a snapshot in CPSE, so Committee on Preschool, Elementary, CSE, Committee on Special Ed, Secondary School, Committee on Special Ed, out-of-district numbers, the totals, and then the 504s broken down between the elementary and the secondary. That's all I have, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our program is always exciting, Mr. Snyder. And certainly the work that I get to do every day is exciting. As you can see, every time I try to put some pictures up of some new students who are joining our MTSS room. It's amazing how they just wander themselves in and then they never leave. But we're continuing to grow all of those connections. And with the connections with the students, we want to be able to ensure that we're making the connections with our community partners to be sure that our students are being able to get the supports that they need. So we do have some additional county resources. I have some families that I'm working with to get them set up. Some examples of that include our single bite, which some of us have heard over the years, but they have upgraded their form as well as including a QR code, which makes it a lot easier for some of our parents to be able to sign up. That single bite is an opportunity for families who have a child within their household to be able to get a free meal delivered weekly to their home. So that's an excellent resource, and we have families that are signing up for that. As well as our county continues to grow and support our schools. So through Sullivan County, besides the adult protective services, which I told you last time is not scary, it's actually a great resource for our students and our families. We also have a Here's Family Line, which is a resource that I'm supplying to families who just need some support or some advice as to what departments within the county can best support their families. So we're continuing to advertise and be able to get some of that information out to our community. And finally, our MTSS advisory team update. So the last time we were talking, we were really, Mr. Fantini and I were having a hard time trying to get enough of us spread out in order to offer enough support to our students. With that came this advisory team where we had a lot of interest. We divided that team up into two, and we've been meeting with our first section of our community members, of our faculty members, faculty and staff. So we had our introductory meeting, and then we had a follow-up, our second meeting. And I've got to tell you, as I had suggested, the energy in the room has been ecstatic. And we have a great plan moving forward. The next time that we get together with our advisory team, we're going to be doing a deep dive into some of our attendance rates and taking a look at that with our faculty and staff within the room of that advisory team to start to dissect what's happening, what are the trends, or what are some things that we can be able to put in place for next school year to start to turn around some of the chronic absenteeism that we see developing at this point in the school year. So really exciting things happening. And I just wanted to just quickly point out, Mr. Fantini and I are certainly able to continue supporting a lot of the initiatives that were started at the beginning of the year. Sometimes we start off strong and we forget some of the things, some of those great ideas and some of those motivators that we're getting students in and getting them to do the right thing while they're here at school. So we've been able to bring back and continue to remind students of the opportunity to earn a Bear Den Pass, which is the opportunity for students to be able to have an alternate place besides sitting within the classroom during their free periods. So we were able to give out one of those. I'd be remiss if I did not thank our school community for offering some donations of baseball cleats. We have some students who, I don't know where he got the idea, one in particular, but he's never played baseball before. He decided this was his first year that he wanted to try it. So we had to review what all the bases were and just kind of how the game worked. But with that, we also needed all of the materials that went along with playing baseball. So that is a thank you card that our student wrote to our school counselor, Mr. Williams, who was able to donate some cleats. We also had some other TVTA members come through and be able to supply some other cleats for some of our other students who wanted to join baseball this year. So we're growing the program. Not all of them may be ready to play just yet, but they're watching and they're loving every part of it. I check in with them. They had their first game and he was excited to be able to just be part of a team. And then finally, as I said, we have some students who just continue to find their way in. And with that comes academic support and some of the emotional stuff along with it. And the whole staff has been really welcoming and actually recommending students to come down just to do kind of a check-in. So we're doing some great work, and it continues to be exciting each day. Any questions, please? I can bring you mine.
No, it's good. Just with a single bite, how often did you say that they come?
Yeah, so I actually brought the flyer in case there were any questions. I can certainly make sure I provide you with a copy of the flyer, but it says that they are doing that weekly.
Are they always looking for volunteers to help deliver?
They have volunteers that do deliver, but I'm sure, I mean, they've served, it says here, over 185,000 foods since 2020, since the beginning of that. So to have volunteers, I'm sure that they're looking for volunteers to be able to
Perfect.
help that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sure
I'll get in
thing.
touch with you about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Williams,
Yes.
just to back up a little bit to the athletics, do you know, do all the students playing any sport? Is anybody missing any equipment that they may need at this point?
At this point, I think we are all set. As I said, the school community, all of the teachers, the TVTA, as well as working with Mr. Crudelli, there's some scholarships that are out there. There are some opportunities of some organizations that have been donating some of those cleats where we're able to just kind of get an inventory of them. So at this point, I think we're all set for this season, but we're always looking to be able to be sure that we're ahead of any fall or winter seasons for next school year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure all students had what they needed.
They're doing great.
Good.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Shabodi, I will dovetail on that. We had a student last year do a civics project around that. And so she also gathered a lot of athletic gear for kids. So we have a good supply of good stuff if kids need anything. So thank you for checking in on that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I've got just a quick update on the tech department. We're in the final stages of increasing security on our student accounts. One of the recent trends that we've seen, in fact, one of the Mid-Hudson schools fell victim to this attack, is cyber criminals actually going after student accounts because they don't have two-factor authentication generally, have weaker passwords, that type of thing. And once they've taken control of a student's account, then using that to send an email to a teacher, a staff member. Of course, the teacher or staff member is going to then open that, and that email carries a payload, virus, that type of thing, and they use that to actually get into the schools. So once we saw that shift in attacks, we set about really making sure all of our student accounts were secure. We have, I think I've got 2 students left to meet with to go through that process, and then we'll be complete with that. We've begun some internal training on network analysis tools that will give us a much deeper visibility into what's going on our network at any point in time. That will help our staff to really improve times whenever there's any kind of issue on the network, for us to really zero in on what the source of the issue is and come to resolution on things that much faster. And finally, we are just in the beginning stages of a project to upgrade our virtual server infrastructure. I realize that saying virtual server infrastructure to people who aren't in IT is generally kind of meaningless. So I'm going to give you a really quick, hopefully 30-second primer on what I mean when I say that. So back when I came into IT, closing in on 30 years ago, every server that you had was a piece of hardware, just like a computer on your desk. Had its own hard drive, its own processor, its own memory, everything. And the same thing applied for servers. Had to duplicate for every single server you had in the organization. With server virtualization, you have bigger servers that have more RAM, more processor, more network capability, and you're able to parse that up. And on top of what's called a hypervisor, so it's a operating system that installs on those big servers. Just like on your Windows desktop, you can install Microsoft Office or Adobe or any other programs. This software installs onto the hardware, and then you install copies of Windows on top of that. So you run all of your Windows servers on one piece of hardware. It allows you to be much more efficient with your dollars that you're spending, as well as give you much more flexibility. That said, it is a much more sizable project when you're upgrading all of those pieces of things. And we want to make sure that we're able to do it well and without any issues. We're taking that project on in-house as a way of saving a significant amount of money compared to if we were having a vendor partner do that. And we're just beginning that project now. That's all I have. Any questions?
Security a lot easier with the
You can, that's one of the things we're looking at with this project is you can actually consolidate some of the security functions. You can install kind of, if you think of antivirus, where you install antivirus on every given machine, with virtualization, you have the ability to install antivirus at the hypervisor level, which we're looking at that, especially because some servers, like our phone servers and things like that, they're specialized. They think of them as appliances, but they really are, often Linux-based operating systems, and they don't support having antivirus on those, which is one of those kind of keeps me up a little bit at night things. So we're looking at implementing that with this upgrade so that it just gives that extra layer of protection for those things that you can't really install that protection on themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. As Mr. Snyder had said, it feels like it's forever away, but we are rounding out to the end of our school year. After spring break, we are going to hit the ground running. So far, we've had a lot of testing going on. We had our SAT on 4-1. We had 28 students participate in that. We had our PSAT on 4-2. We had 23 students participating in that. Looking forward, we have our New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Test that will be taking place with our speaking portion and our listening, reading, and writing portions. We also have our New York State 7th and 8th grade testing that started today. We tried to start today, but there was a statewide issue. The state website crashed. So our students and our staff were very flexible. We weren't able to log in. Either was half of our county. So that is pushed to now. Our first session will take place tomorrow, and our second session will take place on Thursday for the ELA portion. Then after that, after spring break, when we come back, we'll have our math portion and our science for grade 8. Then we have our Regents exams coming up. The Regents schedule is a little bit all over the place, but we are really focusing in and making sure that all of our students will be successful and set up for that. Our staff are all hosting Regents review sessions for each Regents exam. They will be after school and held on Arbiter for registration, so students can start registering for those as they become available. We are hoping to have about 10 sessions per test. Then our student numbers that are all enrolled approximately for the exams are all listed there as well. Any questions?
I have one. The SATs, my understanding was there was a charge to the family.
Yes, for the
Families?
SAT exam, there is a charge.
Okay. Do we know when the families will be told how much that is?
So it has to, after the exam takes place, they give us the rate and they discount it at a certain rate as well. So then they'll give us that rate and then we can bill out the families.
Do you happen to know when the Spanish region is? Not on the
So the checkpoint A exam, it's no longer a Regents exam, it's a locally given exam. That is taking place within the school year. So that is set up by our Spanish teachers and they work that scheduling out for best practices for them. So that'll be taking place within the school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great, awesome. So as Ms. Eberly had just said, our state testing window is set up now. There may have been a loud expression of joy when we said we were going to postpone the assessment till tomorrow, but there were some students who just kind of wanted to get it over with. They've been preparing really hard in their classrooms. The teachers have been doing a great job getting the kids focused and ready to go. So tomorrow we'll hit the ground running again, and we'll have the ELA wrapped up by the end of the week. We get back, we have our math 2 weeks after we come back, and then our 5th graders get to take their science assessment, which is no longer performance-based. It's now just a written test. That will be given in the middle of the week, the first week of May.
And then I passed out to you our last newspaper. Our STEAM program in the elementary school is wrapping up this week. Every student in the elementary school who wanted to participate in a program was able to participate in one of our 3 sessions that we were able to provide for them this year. So we had over 100 students in our after-school STEAM program in grades 1 through 6. So I hope you enjoy the last newspaper of this year, but hopefully much more to come. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
When they do the test, how long does it take to get results from it? Or
Well, they tell us we're going to have it before the end of the school year because that helps us with our planning for the next school year. We usually don't see them until the following fall.
really?
Mm-hmm. If that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hello again. So I'm going to start with the wellness side of things. So our 7th grade class, we partnered with Single Bite, and there were 2 classroom visits and 1 field trip. We combined it's normally 2 field trips. We combined it into 1. So the first classroom session, Liz from Single Bite came in. She brought a chef. They prepared a single bite, discussed real foods versus processed foods. Talked a lot about Takis, big hit with 7th graders, discussed how maybe that's not the best choice, even though they're delicious, but her key thing was every once in a while. And then we went to a trip to the Flowering Sun Ecology Center in Ellenville, showed the process of, obviously they're growing outside, but also in greenhouses, and it was pretty cool. You could see kind of several steps. And then we went to Hemlock Neversink, where the meal actually had mushrooms and potatoes from the farm they had just visited. So students were kind of able to see that whole process. And then we wrapped up with a second classroom visit. Again, talking about the trip, but also more about that real food opportunity. So we've been doing this trip for a number of years. We really love the partnership and we love to continue it going forward. On the athletics side of things, so 6 JV and varsity teams with 121 total athletes. And we have 3 modified spring teams with 53 total athletes there. If you haven't noticed, it was snowing today. So if we could all get together and wish for no precipitation, maybe even some warmth, that'd be cool too. But everybody's scrambling to move games, make things work, so that we're all ready to go come sectional time. And the last thing I want to mention is, with all of the rain and cold, a huge shout out to our grounds crew. The fields, the baseball field the other day, I've never seen it look that good that early in the year. The grass is starting to get green. They've been really, really doing a great job with all of the fields. And they come to me and with suggestions, and they're really, really great to work with. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll do the facilities update right here in the chair. So what's happening really with our outdoor crew, as Kevin said, they're doing a lot of prep of the parks. They've been at the 42 park helping get that ready. And again, we've worked really hard throughout the year with our community and Chris Matthews to set up a good partnership with the park with Larry Whipple and everything. And so we feel like we're in a good spot if we need to use that park at all this year. You can tell that they're doing a ton of cleanup. They're out picking up leaves and prepping to mow the lawns and get things going. We just had a demonstration a few weeks ago with a robotic field liner. So it paints the fields and it's a robot and you program it. That was pretty cool. It was pretty impressive. So something we're looking at to assist us a little bit. The last week they came and moved all of our cars in the district parking lot because they will roll that often and rake it. And it was one of those days where there had to be 20 cars in and out all day. So all their work was kind of messed up by us parking on it, but I'm sure they'll have to do it again. Inside, they're prepping for spring cleaning that they'll do during spring break. They'll get rooms taken apart, floors shined. And the other thing we're doing right now is we have our fans that we bought through our ESSER grant to help us with that new heat regulation. And those are all being installed in classrooms. So when we get back, and it does start to get warm, at least we've we're prepared to address any of the heat issues that we have.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to item number 4C is the 25 to 26 budget presentation by Mr. Richard Bieberman.
Good evening. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the 25-26 budget presentation proposal. We have some opportunities this year. Regionalization discussions. Reminder, regionalization is not merger. We're not looking, but there are ways where we can save some money with some training, some professional development, and just working as teams with some other local districts. We're working to leverage a little more countywide resources. As Ms. Williams said, there are some things as far as mental health that will help with that. And we're really trying to work with both Sullivan and Ulster and seeing what's available and how we can work better with the county to leverage money and save money. We're still working on really maximizing our returns on our money, looking at ways to get as much possible interest as possible. Interest is always an unknown. Those rates drop and they go up, but we can project, and we're just really looking at how to really maximize every penny. We're looking at significantly lower fuel costs. Savings on fuel is about 9.5%, diesel 20%, propane 22%. If it ever gets warm, we might save more money, but we're still, paying to heat stuff. And we're looking at a new minivan, which will lower transportation costs. I am going to go more detail on the minivan. There are a couple of challenges. Federal funding, how stable is it? What's going to happen? Will there be cuts? New York State unfunded mandates, possibly cell phone ban, the heating, anything else, the heat regulations, anything else that may come from the state that we're not going to get money. Maybe we will. These are challenges. Cost of goods and services, supply chains, really hard to know what's going to happen. There's a lot going on in the world, as we all know, and what's stuff going to cost us. The merger of two of our districts, Livingston Manor and Roscoe, have merged to become Rockland Central School District. That affects our BOCES rate. Those rates are done by base course. So now you're dividing base cost instead of 8 into 7. And there's also something called our WATR, which is an attendance and enrollment ratio. So the business officials have had to structure it so everybody gets hurt equally, because the bigger districts would get hurt if you just did it by pupil. The smaller districts would get hurt if you just did it by base. But there are going to be increases because you're dividing a pie of 8 into 7. And electrical costs, as a lot of people probably have noticed, that we don't know where that's going to be. And, those are hard to predict if they're going to be skyrocketing or not. So those are just some of our opportunities and challenges. When we look at our budget, we do have, we're looking at a 2.14% increase. Our capital budget is down, and some of that has to do with just purchasing, some of the big purchasing that we've done. Our admin is up slightly, and that has to do with shifting costs and also just contractual raises. We're going to go into this more. And our programs as well is slightly up. Okay. As a reminder, the capital component is everything that happens on our school grounds. It's keeping this place open and everything to do with that, as well as debt services and capital expenditures. Here's a breakdown of our changes in the capital in the main categories. There are some explanations there, and we can go through if we have any questions with those. The administrative component, that's the salary and benefits of all the support staff, all the clerical, as well as the administrator and all district office operations. So it's not just the administrators, it's everybody that allows the administrators and everything that allows administrators to do their jobs and run the school. I mean, if it wasn't for our administrative staff, there was no, the clerical staff, people that are meeting you inside the schools, we couldn't run our schools, and Board of Education expenses. Same here, these are all broken down. Program component, that's everything that happens within the classrooms. This is all the salary and benefits for all the teachers, supplies and materials, education for off-campus students, athletics, extracurricular, transportation, employee benefits of that department. And we do have some breakdowns here. You know, some of these numbers, if you look, they shift a lot, and that's just because of recoding things. We, you know, looked at just making sure that things are aligned where they should be budget-wise and coding-wise. So, you know, you may see a shift of $40,000 here, but then you have another shift of 40,000 here, and it's just moving around and just trying to get things right. Okay. Something new this year, we're going to try a one-year pilot. You know, we recognize that there's a lot of cost to our families that are getting college credits while they're in school. Currently, SUNY Sullivan is $79 per credit hour. You know, they're still working with possibly trying to make lowering that cost or finding grants or fixing or no cost. That's something that's still being worked on. But what we've done is we've done just on a one-year pilot where we can reimburse $25 per credit hour. After the course is over, student has to get a B or higher and, you know, obviously a transcript that just shows that they've gotten that. So we're going to try this on a one-year pilot and, you know, see where the costs are. And we're hoping that we can eventually get that down to zero. And that's more through SUNY Sullivan funding or other sources possibly. Okay. Minivan. We're looking at purchasing what would be classified as a multi-purpose vehicle. This would be able with proper licensing. You know, not everybody can do this, but you have to have proper licensing. Should be aidable. It'll have 8 passenger seating, and we'd be able to use this for our CDUS studies, our smaller sports teams, extracurricular clubs, transportation to and from student celebrations, BOCES runs that are not our normal BOCES runs, home visits. There's a lot of opportunities here. Looking at in January, we had, you know, something that came up in the past, but going to wrestling practices, assuming that we have somebody who's able to drive it, we spend $1,800 on busing to wrestling practices in the month of January. We spent almost $3,900 bringing a student who had to had different hours than what would be a normal BOCES run that had to be brought back and forth to BOCES. You know, so we spent $3,800 there. You know, every time we have a small team, if you have to run a team to New York City, that's a 3-person, you know, team for something could be $800 to $1,000. So we're hoping that this should reimburse itself, you know, recoup the cost of this van very quickly. The issue is going to be just availability. There's a process that we have to go through to make sure the aid is there and to be able to do this, and then making sure that we can get the van. You know, that is a problem, but it's not a problem, but it could be a problem. You know, we're going to monitor that. So looking at our revenue projections, what we're looking is an increase of 1.99% on the tax levy and the increase of the entire budget of 2.14%. And breakdown of the tax levy, you know, COVID money is gone. That, you know, played a big role. And, you know, we have, you know, there's increased costs. There's contractual cost that goes up. So, you know, there are increases, but we're hoping, you know, to limit it as much as we can. We're really looking at right sizing more and more and just spending wiser, like shopping everything, making sure that everything is being competitively checked, even the small things that, you know, just really making sure we can do our best to save money there. All right. Any questions on this part?
If I may.
Yes.
If I may, how did you come to the conclusion with Toyota?
They were on the bid, and there's not a lot of minivans, but they were the one that was on the bid.
Have you looked at the size of them? Because transporting 8 students, as I noticed tonight, some of them have quite long legs.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll actually have 8, if 8 will fit. It's just that is what the capacity is. I mean, realistically, I think you can transport 5 students, probably 5 students, and you know, and the driver comfortably, you know, right? You know, and it depends on what it is exactly. I mean, there's a lot of factors there. Thing is, if we start going bigger than that, you know, then you start looking at busing, and then there's all different licenses.
Well, you mean there is a license for that anyway, other than your normal license. You have to if a employee is running it, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So what would be the difference with a different vehicle or a different size vehicle?
I'm Sloan.
So
She's done more research on.
we can become occasional drivers, and that allows us to transport students in a minivan. When you get into a Type A, which is like our white bus, then you have to have the 19A or the CDL. So,
Yeah.
and we've been really mindful of that, and that's been difficult. It's been a challenge for some of our folks that are normally used to taking that, and I appreciate their patience as we work this out. But if we get everyone trained to be an occasional driver, which is like a mini driver test, you have to be able to pull some weight. You have to be able to get out of your vehicle safely, take people out of your vehicle safely. But you still have to do, the same, not as much of a check, but you have to record your mileage. You have to make sure your lights are working, your blinkers are working, all of that. So an occasional driver lets us transport kids. It lets us run to a house to pick somebody up if they miss the bus. It lets us, bring families in for meetings if needed. And I think it'll be a tremendous savings. And I think it'll be great to get our people certified as occasional drivers. And then we'll be on the up and up with our transportation.
Is there a benefit with buying through the contract?
Yes.
Have you been comparing any other models or anything?
Yes, I think the Toyota right now is the one that's on state bid. So if you notice districts buying school vehicles, you'll see a lot of those. I'm also interested as we move forward, if this is successful in more of a suburban, a bigger vehicle. Our terrain allows for who knows what sometimes. So I think, something we can look at in the future. But right now with our budget this year, and really wanting to be able to get one here on the road, I think the minivan it makes sense for us.
Don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with Toyota. I'm just asking to comparison. And if you looked at the size of it, if it fits our needs, that's all I'm asking.
They're pretty roomy. They're great.
Okay.
They're great.
Right.
Yeah.
And since it's budget time, just ask a question in reference to busing. Have we looked at busing to save some money? Because now it's 3.7 million and 850 kids. I was wondering if possibly it might be something, because it's, finance, it's money, that maybe we could look at it or somebody look at it and see if we could save something there somehow. And that's 3.7. Does that include the fuel? Because the district does buy the fuel in the contract, correct?
Correct.
And do we have an option of not buying the fuel in the contract and let them take care of it, or do you find it's better financially for us to buy the fuel?
Mm-hmm. Do you want
Traditionally, most of the contracts do have the districts paying for fuel. The advantages of that is there's no markup. If somebody else is buying it, they're going to mark it up no matter what it is. They're going to somehow mark it up. So that's really the one advantage of us buying the fuel, is that we're not marking it up. And then as far as looking at it, we do want to look at, what is the possibility of having just all of our runs audited again, where, they look at it very closely, but it's always good to maybe have another set of eyes look at it. And so it's something that we're going to look at possibly doing to just make sure that they're maximizing how they're running their routes to save us the most money. That's something that we will look at.
One thing we want to keep in mind when we're picking up our students, we don't have a lot of bus stops. And so our buses route so that it is curbside pickup. They're pulling right up to the driveway. Rarely are they crossing kids. They try to be really mindful of that. And so sometimes in their routing, they might have to go a little bit of a different distance so that they're not stopped in the middle of the road, especially on 55 or some of our tougher roads with lots of hills and blinds, that kids are being picked up right where the bus door is right next to their driveway. They're not crossing across the road. But Rich and I have been talking a lot about checking in with some of the districts that contract with a different bus company, and looking at their prices and just see what's out there. It might be time for us to take a look at that.
No, I mean, it is a large sum of money. And to get our kids here, and that doesn't even include any education, they have to get here first. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with the business. It's just the idea. It's a lot of money, and it's one, if we could possibly take a look at it.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just two clarifying questions. What falls under civic activities? Is that the Town of Neversink program
Primarily, yeah.
primarily?
Yeah.
And the other is there's a significant decrease in the co-curricular activities line. Why is that?
So those are actually events that are happening in the auditorium, so it's like the play and stuff, and they were just budgeted way higher than projected costs. When you look at the percentage, it's a lot, but the amount is not, as significant. So where we spend on that versus where it's been budgeted is just, the numbers just weren't, we didn't spend enough to justify what was budgeted in the past, and we haven't, and we won't have to.
All right, I just want to make sure we're not taking programs away or planned programs away from any of the kids that go to school here.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Just moving that money to really where it should be, and that it was over budgeted, but then that puts money into other places. Yeah. All right.
On those lines, I know that recently there's been someone's inquiring about codes of expenditures. And I have a question. I suppose you say you have $100 in this code for handicapped students. So you have $100 for the whole year. Now you have 10 kids at the beginning of the year. That's what you did your budgeting for. Now in the middle of the year, you have 10 more kids that came to the district. So now you don't have any money left in there. Are you going to say, well, we don't want you kids? Tell me about the flexibility and how that codes work for, we can take care of that question that's somebody's been asking.
No, absolutely not. We'll never turn away kids or not put them in the right program. When you're budgeting, there's a science and an art to it. There's the science of the hard numbers in the past, and then there's the art and crystal ball of the future. We don't know if a family moves in that has, a lot of special needs students that are high cost, so what you're doing is you're budgeting with a little bit of flexibility, but there's also, opportunities to move money from one budget to another and look where, maybe you have to cut something that's, not as critical, at that time, but you just want to shift with money. So it's all just a guess of, looking at what's there, looking at what could possibly come, but there are no answers. We also could have families leave the district with high cost students using that same thing. When now there's extra money. Now we can look at whether we want to try to roll that money or if there's something else that we need. So it's all just a constant shuffle. Does that answer that?
So the similarities is like our budget school budgets have to be put in place and voted on by, say, the 11th of April. But the state budget isn't even in place yet. So how do they expect us to put a budget in place?
That's a challenge. We're predicting our best predictions of what the state's going to give us. And, they may come in higher, which would be great. It may come in lower, which would be not as so great.
And they're still talking about all these rules and regulations that may come down. Yeah. It must be a nightmare for the business office to, God bless you.
Well,
God bless
you. All right. Any other questions on that before we just go into the contingency budget? So the contingency budget is pretty straightforward. If our budget was voted down, we can either amend, go back out, or we can go back out with the same budget. If it was voted down again, we have to then run a contingency budget. This basically gets rid of anything that's not considered an ordinary expense. So there's no purchasing allowed that's not students. So, if we needed a new piece of a tractor equipment because something broke, we can't buy it. If we, anything that's budgeted, that's a need, that's not direct student is gone. Also, any money that you're going to be funding capital funds with future money you can't spend. So the contingency budget is just that emergency. If that didn't happen, we have great taxpayers, and we're going to hope that we would never have to go there. But we do have to put one together there, and that's what this is for. All right.
That would affect our non-mandated curriculum, correct?
Yeah, that could. Yeah,
that could be, which was years ago, was music. A lot of schools did away with music, and because it was non-mandated, and they had to find it somewhere.
Yeah,
we never had to do that.
Yeah, we've never had to do that, and hopefully we never will. But we do have to have a contingency budget. It is a state requirement.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 5 is the superintendent's report from Ms. Erin Long.
Thank you. I too want to commend our athletes and our coaches for a fantastic winter season. And I also have to give a shout out to the wonderful production of Shrek, all of the work from the cast of the crew that went in last weekend, and what amazing talent. It was just really a beautiful show. As Amanda mentioned earlier, we were scheduled to start our New York State ELA exams today, and people, to plan for these exams, we have kids all over the place. We have proctors all over the place. The teachers have to be trained to give the exam. There's specific directions that have to be read. You can't have stuff hanging up in your classrooms that might give an answer. I mean, there's so much that has to prep to go into it. Schedules are changed. It really requires everyone to be on deck. And one classroom had a glitch, and another classroom had a glitch, and then the elementary had a glitch, and then all of a sudden a text comes in from one of our local schools. You having trouble? We're having trouble. And then the RIC gets a hold of us and says, are you having trouble? And now the superintendents are sending nasty grams to the state. And Questar had some type of a malfunction when they released the test, and it didn't work. And it ended up not being as significant across the whole state, but significant enough just to mess everybody up. So some kids started, some kids didn't start, some kids finished quicker than they probably should have. And so now we'll just wait and see if there's going to be guidance, if we get anything back from that on today. And, like Kevin said and Amanda said, you get all hyped up, you do a ton of practice, you want to get this over with. And, everybody was wonderfully flexible today. I know it was kind of a pain. We are still waiting for the New York State budget. I did read an article from NISCUS today that it's not education that's holding it up, which is good. I know they're still advocating for an increase in foundation aid and an increase in some of the money we're going to get to help us with this personal cell ban initiative that's coming down from the state. So we're hoping something that's done in the next couple of weeks. What I read in the NISCUS article was the governor was not in any hurry until she felt comfortable with what she was doing. So we'll have to see, but they assure us that we'll have it before our budget vote on May 20th. I am requesting that we have a board meeting on May 20th. It's after the budget vote. It would be just brief for us to approve the preliminary results, and then we will have a little bit of board business that we're going to need to do. So that would be on May 20th. I'm guessing around 8:45. I'll get some details out to everyone so you can mark your calendars. We received one foil. It's foil number 37 from Cindy Mickelson on March 24th. It's for the budget status report for the 24-25 school year, showing the original appropriation and all expenditures for all budget codes to date. Any adjustments to the budget, encumbrance outstanding and unencumbered balance for each fund and budget code as well. All funds, including grant monies, revenue status reports for all funds, including capital fund and all grant monies. The report should include estimated revenues, amounts received to date, and revenues estimated to be received during the balance of the fiscal school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 6 is items the board would like pulled from tonight's agenda. Anybody? Okay, we'll move to item number 7 is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the entire consent agenda? Motion by Pat.
Second.
Second by Kerry. Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the entire consent agenda, categories 8 through 11. That brings us to item number 12 is board committee reports. We have 3 items on this section, and we'll start with policy. 12A is policy 1120-R. It is the school district records regulation, first read. It's for public information. Moving to item number 12B is policy 2245, ex officio student member of the board, first read for public information and discussion. And then there's item number 12C is policy 8113, extreme heat condition days, first read. It is for information and discussion. Any questions?
I just have one question. So the ex officio student member, you select that, Aaron, person, correct? And they would be selected before the end of this school year to participate as of September. They wouldn't have to have any summer participation.
Right. Yes. We have surveys completed that we'll send out to the kids after spring break to get an interest, and then we'll do a little mock interview with those that are interested, but they will start in September. They won't be required to come to the summer board meetings.
Okay, so from here, we'll move to item number 13 is old business. We don't have anything, right? Okay, moving to item 14 is public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. I have no one signed up. Moving to item 15 is announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Anything? Anybody? Okay. We move to item number 16. And we have a few things to take care of here. So the first one is going to be the adoption of budget for 2025 to 2026 school year. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the budget 2025 to 2026 school year? Motion by Pat.
Second.
Second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby adopt the proposed budget of $38,070,773 for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Moving to item number 16B is the resolution for the Daniel Pierce Library legal notice. It is an action. Can I have a motion for the Daniel Pierce Library legal notice?
So move.
All right, so I need a motion.
So move.
George gives the motion. I
All
will
right.
second it. No worries.
Okay, George, motion by George. Second by?
Second.
Second by Kerry. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. I'm going to read this legal notice. At the regular meeting, so it was George and Kerry, right? At the regular meeting of the Tri-Valley Central School District, the District Board of Education on April 8th, 2025, upon a motion made by George Dean and seconded by Kerry Poley, the following resolution is adopted. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Daniel Pierce Library, parentheses, the library, has approved an annual appropriation of $500 $433,438, parentheses, which sum consists of $458,438 previously authorized, plus an additional $75,000 over the 2024 to 2025 appropriation, close parentheses, the annual appropriation, and whereas that upon the request of the Board of Trustees of the library, Board of Education, the district will hold a special meeting of the school district on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 at the library, 328 Main Street in Grahamsville, Sullivan County, Grahamsville, New York, 12740, between the hours of 1 and 8 p.m. Daylight savings time, for the purpose of voting upon the annual appropriation from the district to the library, the special meeting. And now, therefore, it is hereby resolved that in accordance with Section 2007, parentheses 1 of the New York Education Law, the Board of Education of the Tri-Valley Central School District, Sullivan County, New York, hereby authorizes and directs the district clerk to give notice to the qualified voters of the district of the special meeting and charge the library for the costs associated with holding the special meeting. And it is further resolved that the district clerk is hereby authorized to amend the notice of the special meeting from time to time, as in her discretion such an amendment may be required. And it is further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Moving to item number 16C is the resolution for the DCMO resolution for cooperative purchasing, school year 2025 to 26. It is an action, and can I have a motion to accept the DCMO resolution for cooperative purchasing, school year 2025 to 26?
Motion.
Motion by Travis. Second by Tammy. Any discussion?
Is there a cost that comes with that for joining it? Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. Whereas the Cooperative Purchasing Service is a plan of a number of public school districts in the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES area in New York, and to bid jointly equipment, supplies, and contract items. And whereas the Central School District named below is desirous of participating with other districts in the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES in the joint bidding of the items mentioned above as authorized by General Municipal Law, Section 119-0, and whereas the central school named below wishes to appoint the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES the responsibility for drafting of specifications, advertising for bids, accepting and opening bids, and tabulating bids and award bids on their behalf. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the central school listed below authorizes the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES to represent it in all matters leading up to the entering into a contract for the purchase of the above-mentioned commodities. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the central school listed below agrees to 1, assume its equitable share of the costs of the cooperative bidding, 2, abide by majority decisions of the participating members, 3, that it will award contracts based on information provided from the bid, 4, abide by the award of the BOCES board, 5, and that after the award of the bid, it will conduct all negotiations directly with the successful bidders or bidder. Okay, moving to item number 16D is the resolution for the DCMO resolution for food and cafeteria supplies school year 2025 to 26. It is an action. Can I have a motion for the DCMO for the food and cafeteria supplies school year 25 to 26? Motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Whereas it is a plan of a number of public school districts in the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES area in New York to bid jointly cafeteria supplies, including but not limited to food and paper items. And whereas the central school named below is desirous of participating with other districts in the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES area in the joint bidding of the items mentioned above as authorized by General Municipal Law, Section 119-0. And whereas the central school named below wishes to appoint a committee made up of participating schools to assume the responsibility for drafting of specifications, advertising for bids, accepting and opening bids, tabulating bids, and providing the information to their Board of Education, who will make awards therefore. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the central school listed below hereby appoints the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, Otsego, BOCES to represent it in all matters relating above, designates the Evening Sun newspaper as the legal publication for all cooperative purchasing bid notifications, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the central school listed below authorizes the above committee to represent it in all matters leading up to the entering into a contract for the purchase of the above mentioned items, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the central school listed below agrees to: 1, abide by the majority decisions of the participating districts on quality standards; 2, that will award contracts based on information provided from the bid; 3, and that after the award of the bid, it will conduct all negotiations directly with the successful bidder or bidders. Okay, moving to item number, last one, 16E, the approval, creation of extracurricular classroom account. It is an action. Can I have a motion to approve the creation of extracurricular classroom account?
Motion. Second.
Who's that, Tammy? Motion by Tammy, second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education does hereby approve the establishment of an extracurricular classroom account for the Model United Nations Club. Okay, moving to item number 17 is board comment session. Rose?
First, I wanted to thank Erin for the update on the salad bar. I know I had previously asked about that, so thank you for including that in our recent update. I also wanted to say I'm extremely happy about the upcoming installation of the fans. Last year, the temperatures in the classrooms were a big problem, and I'm very glad we're taking care of that. I had a couple of questions. The first one, going back to, we were talking about school buses a little earlier. I recently was chatting with a family who goes to a different school district, and they were telling me that their school bus has GPS trackers. This way, students can know if their bus is running late or if a bus is broken down, and you can actually set notifications on it so that you know if the bus is however many minutes away, so students can be prepared for that. Is that something Rolling V offers or will be offering to us in the future?
Great question. So they are putting into their buses something called Beacon Connect, which is that app. and then you'll be able to log in and see where the bus is approximately morning and afternoon, or if the kids are coming back from a field trip or a sporting event, you'll be able to do that.
And did they give you a timeline on that?
It's supposed to be installed in the buses this summer. Their goal is it's going to be up and running for September.
Okay, wonderful. And the other thing is I was searching high and low on the website for any sort of information about our prom. Nothing on the cost, the location, the date. I'm hoping that can be put on the website for parents who want to know this information.
We will take care of that.
All right. And finally, congratulations to all of our talented athletes and performers. Job well done.
Thank you.
Just wanted to touch upon something I meant to mention at the last meeting, which was competition night. A tremendous amount of effort went into that by a number of people. Competition night's a huge tradition here. I thought it was a great night, so kudos to everybody who was involved. Parents, come out, see your kids have fun with their friends. There was parent participation was a light. I thought the kids were pretty good, but parents, come out and support your kids. I did want to touch upon the passing of Mike Brooks. I came on the school board. Mike was board president. Total gentleman. Outstanding community member, great mentor to me on the school board. So I just did want to acknowledge his passing. It is a loss. That really hit me hard. The other thing I did want to acknowledge the recognition that our athletes received today. A lot of extremely talented kids, so we should all be very proud of that. It was done nicely. That's all.
Thank you. Tim?
Disregard, I got it. I'll be brief, but obviously a lot of outstanding student athletes in the school, and that's a credit to our administrators, our teachers. I've been a part of a bunch of discussions recently on what people we can target for law enforcement futures, and where we find them. And I'm a firm believer that you find them at high school level, the kids that can handle a full course load and a sport or a commitment to a play or chorus. Those are usually the kids that translate to a success in whatever career, but some of these law enforcement fields are very demanding. So we have a bunch of those kids, and the sacrifice they put in, I don't need to explain to you. You guys see it every day. But that's first thing. Second thing, we need to continue to try to get young teachers, hire people that want to assist, be assistant coaches, help out, so we're not like twisted arms to get people to coach. So I think that's important as we look to hire. Thanks.
Thank you. Carrie?
Is it on now? Okay. I wanted to piggyback off of what everybody else said. Condolences to the Scana and the Huffnagel and the Brooks families. I'm very excited about the SUNY pilot program. I think it's a step in the right direction, and it will hopefully encourage more kids to take some of these college level courses. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Tammy?
I'd just like to extend my condolences to the Scana, Brooks, and Huffnagel families and friends on their losses. Very tragic to the community. They're all wonderful people, and they will greatly be missed. Congratulations to all of our winter athletes on a amazing season in all of our sports. The students are just phenomenal to watch, and their energy is just amazing. The play over the weekend was great. It was definitely well attended, and a good time was had by all. I'd like to also just wish everybody a happy and safe spring break, and be safe wherever you may travel to, or whether you stay home. Just enjoy your time with your family and friends.
Thank you. Travis?
Just quick thank you to all the administrators with your presentations and kind of
just keeping us in the loop of what's going on in the school. We really do appreciate what you're doing. Great job, coaches, with all of the athletes. Thank you for what you do. Jennifer, I'm going to come to you for the single bite. I'd like to help out with that however I can and push that along and get as many volunteers as we can to help out with bringing food to families. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. George?
Agreement with the town, has that been worked out? And is there a cost there financially? That's the ball field downtown.
So we have a $10,000 commitment to the fields every year, and that's our contribution that we committed to a while ago. And so we also purchase the dirt, a lot of the topsoil that has to go over, and then our guys go over and help out whenever they can, because that is volunteer to get it all mowed and lined and things. So we're in great shape with the town. We're in great shape with Little League. We've had some really productive conversations through the winter months to make sure we were all set.
So does the 10 go to the town or does it go to the Little League?
It goes to the town.
And do we have a number of how many hours we spent there financially?
I probably could get that for you. I think it's really weather dependent. I know they were trying to get the fields ready to go last week so they could host a scrimmage over there because our fields weren't ready, but our field was ready the other day. And it really depends on the weather and what we can, if we can't get it ready here, then we ask to use that park.
Yeah, I think the board would like to know that too. Another thing is, are we up to date on our honoring of all of our athletes in reference to banners, all extracurricular? Because I notice, I look on some of the walls and some of them, they got blank for a number of years and then they pick up again. And, I think it's doing a dishonor to these individuals here. And, looking back at my years, when I come in here, I like what I see, and it brings back memories. And I think the kids would really enjoy seeing that. Mm-hmm. And when I travel around the other schools, I see a vast amount of banners all over the place honoring their students and their extracurricular. And it's not just our athletes, it's FFA, it's our band and chorus. It's anything that any student gets honored here should be noticed in some way on the walls or as a picture or someplace. And I think we do a better job.
Okay.
Another thing is, when is our next meeting or official meeting? So that would be on the 2/5 of May?
April.
Or 20 of May?
April 22nd is our next board meeting. It's a Tuesday night.
And when is the petition supposed to be in?
Petitions are due to the district office by 5 o'clock on Monday, April 21st.
Okay. Generally, if you could put that on the agenda or just a reminder, a friendly reminder, usually a candidate needs to know the length of time they have to speak, because I never want to get into that again. So in the years past, in the last couple of years anyway, it's been 10 minutes. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but I think the candidates need to know what length of time they have. And because it's very embarrassing that you get up there and you have a 6 or 7 or 8 minute speech and you got 3 minutes. So, I hope we're respectful. Not because I'm running, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to item number 18 is adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Pat.
Second.
By Travis.
Yes.
Please proceed to vote.
Aye. Keith, just a sidebar. Maybe you want to mention that meeting that the state is putting on, the chairman of the, Senate or Assembly, and it's going to be talking about things that are going to they're going to either approve or it's talking about in a state budget because it has to do with education, foundation aid, cell phones, the heat, things like that is what should. And there is a meeting for that. It's rather interesting as when it is because it's after the timeline for us to approve a budget, but.
Administrators board. I don't think it's open.
I'll put something out to the board. I'm not sure that was open to everybody, but I'll put it out.
Oh, I thought it was.
I have to check.
Yeah, Sam sent it out to everybody.
Is it open to everyone? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
don't think it's open to the public.
No, I mean for board members.
Yeah, so Sam sent a flyer to the board.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to join us.
Hey, you got a
Are
time?
we off? No, okay.
Was it? Okay. Okay, be resolved, the board adjourns at 8:35. Thank you. Have a great night. Enjoy.